The war had ended only a season ago, but the air of mistrust still clung heavy between humans and the alien race known as the Kailari. Their cities still smelled of fire and ruin, their towers cracked like broken teeth against the skies. Patrols marched through the streets, keeping both species apart. No one dared to cross the invisible line that divided them. Yet one human soldier, walking alone through the ruined market square, could not keep his heart from wondering where his orders had forbidden. He had saved lives during the war. He had seen too much blood, too much loss. And now, when the world should have been at peace, he felt a strange emptiness inside him. That night, as he searched for food rations in the wreckage, he heard a faint sound, like a cry, soft and broken. His instincts pushed him forward. Behind a collapsed stone arch, he found her. A Kailari girl. She looked fragile, younger than most he had seen, her skin glowing faintly under the moonlight, patterned with markings that shimmered like liquid silver. Chains bound her wrists, evidence of slavers who had left her to die. Her eyes, large, luminous, and filled with terror, met his. The human froze. He knew the rules: never touch, never comfort, never cross the line. But her cry pierced deeper than any rule. Slowly, he bent down, cutting away the iron with his blade. She did not move. She only watched him, breathing sharply, like she expected him to strike her down at any moment. "You are safe now," he whispered, though his voice trembled. For a long moment, they sat in silence. The ruined city around them seemed to hold its breath. She touched her freed wrist and looked at him with something strange: curiosity, fear, maybe even hope. He should have walked away. He should have turned back to his camp and never returned. But something in her eyes pulled him closer. "Why did you help me?" she asked, her voice broken, accented, yet soft. He had no answer. He only stared at her, the firelight of his torch dancing across her face. She was alien, yes. But she was also beautiful in a way he had no words for. Something stirred in him, something he had locked away during years of war. And before reason could stop him, he leaned forward and pressed his lips against hers. The world seemed to freeze. Her body stiffened, shocked by the contact. Then, almost gently, she allowed it. The kiss was brief, trembling, filled with fear and something unspoken. But it was real. Too real. When he pulled back, he felt his chest pounding. He realized what he had just done. A kiss between human and Kailari was no small act. It was forbidden. Entire treaties had been written to prevent such bonds. It was a crime that could bring death, not only to him but to anyone who protected him. And yet, in that fleeting second, it did not feel like a crime. It felt like destiny. The girl's luminous eyes widened. She touched her lips with her chained hands, confusion written across her glowing features. "You should not," she whispered. "If they see this, they will not forgive." A cold shiver ran through him. Somewhere in the darkness, he felt movement. The sound of soft footsteps. A shadow passed across the broken street. Someone was watching. The soldier's hand moved to his weapon, but the night fell silent again. He turned back, but the girl was gone. She had slipped into the ruins, vanishing like smoke. Alone, he stood under the broken arch, his heart racing, the taste of the forbidden kiss still burning on his lips. Above him, in the blackened sky, lights flickered, alien watchers, perhaps, or only dying machines. He could not tell. But in his gut, he knew this was not over. Somewhere, in the darkness, unseen eyes had witnessed everything. The kiss was no secret now. It was the beginning of something dangerous, something greater than either of them could imagine. Suspense ending for Part 1. The forbidden kiss had happened, but unseen watchers had already carried the truth into the night. Tomorrow would not be the same, for the human, for the girl, or for their two worlds. The human could not sleep that night. Even as the campfires of his unit burned low, his mind replayed the moment again and again, the chains falling from the alien girl's wrists, the fear in her eyes, and then, that kiss. He lay on his bedroll, staring at the canvas of his tent, but all he could hear were whispers. Not real voices, but something else, like the ruins themselves spoke in the night. Every shadow outside looked heavier, as though unseen eyes still lingered. By morning, rumors had already spread through the human camp. Soldiers talked in hushed tones around the ration fire. They say one of the Kailari girls escaped last night. Slavers don't lose prisoners unless someone helps them. Be careful. The Kailari Council is watching everything. The soldier said nothing. He kept his head down, but guilt burned in his chest. He could still feel the touch of her lips on his, and he knew, if anyone discovered the truth, his life would be over. But then something stranger happened. As he walked the streets of the ruined city later that day, he noticed Kailari eyes following him. Not with the usual hate, but with curiosity. An old alien woman muttered something as he passed, her voice thick with warning. He caught only a single word in their language, bonded. Bonded? The word echoed in his mind. When night fell again, the air grew colder. His patrol was assigned near the old temple ruins, a place Kailari treated with deep reverence. Even during the war, soldiers whispered it was cursed. He thought it would be a silent shift. But as he leaned against a broken pillar, the silence was broken by voices. Not human. Not loud. Whispers. He tightened his grip on his weapon, peering into the darkness. Faint shapes moved, cloaked figures, their eyes glowing dimly like embers. They spoke in Kailari tongue, their words quick and sharp, but he caught fragments that chilled him. The human. The kiss. The prophecy awakens. A shiver crawled down his spine. How could they already know? No one had seen, no one, except the Watchers. His stomach dropped. He realized then that the kiss had not been private. Someone had been there. Someone had carried the secret into the heart of the alien city. The whispers grew louder, and he stepped back, pressing against the cold stone. Then, in a heartbeat, the voices stopped. The cloaked figures turned their heads toward him, as if they had felt his presence. Their glowing eyes locked on his, piercing through the dark. And then, silence. In the blink of an eye, the figures were gone, melted into the shadows like smoke. The soldier stood frozen, his breath quick, his heart hammering. He wanted to tell himself it was his imagination. But deep inside, he knew it wasn't. The Kailari had seen, and now, they were watching. Back at camp, he could not shake the feeling. Even among his fellow soldiers, he felt alone, marked. He heard whispers not only in alien tongues but in human ones too. Why do they stare at him like that? Maybe he broke some rule. Keep your distance. Whatever he did, it'll come back on us. The soldier clenched his fists. A kiss, just a single kiss, was now twisting into something far larger. But what haunted him most was not the whispers of soldiers or the shadowed figures. It was the memory of her eyes, glowing under the moonlight, and the way she had touched her lips in wonder, as though the kiss meant more to her than to him. And then, came the dream. That night, he dreamed of her. The alien girl stood in the ruined temple, holding something in her arms. A bundle wrapped in silver cloth, glowing faintly. She whispered his name, though he had never told it to her. He tried to reach for her, but the shadows pulled her away, dragging her into darkness. When he woke, sweat dripped down his brow. His chest heaved. It had felt real, too real. And deep inside, he knew the whispers were not just rumors anymore. Something had begun. Something that would change both their worlds. The human soldier thought the whispers would fade with time. Maybe the Kailari would forget. Maybe the shadows were only tricks of his tired mind. He told himself it was only a kiss, a mistake born from weakness. But deep inside, he knew the truth. Nothing about that night was ordinary. 2 days passed. Patrols were tense, food rations thin, and every night he felt eyes on him. He tried to bury the memory, yet the dream of the alien girl returned again and again, her luminous eyes, her silver skin, the way she whispered his name in places he had never been. On the third morning, the camp stirred with commotion. Soldiers hurried to the gates, weapons raised. The alien guards, tall, armored Kailari with spears that glowed faintly blue, stood in formation outside. They were not there to fight. They were waiting. At the center of the street, among the cracked stones and broken market stalls, she appeared. The alien girl. But she was not the same fragile figure he had freed. She walked with steady steps now, her chains gone. A long cloak of silver cloth wrapped around her shoulders, glowing faintly under the pale sun. and in her arms she carried something, a bundle, small, covered in the same silver cloth. The soldier froze. His throat went dry. It was impossible. She looked directly at him, her glowing eyes locking with his across the distance. Gasps rippled through the human camp as the Kailari guards bowed their heads, lowering their weapons in respect. No Kailari ever bowed to a girl. She stepped forward, her voice soft but carrying in the silence. "You kissed me," she said. "Now you are bound." Confusion spread among the soldiers. Murmurs rose like wildfire. The soldier's heart raced. Bound? What did that mean? Then, carefully, she pulled back the cloth. Inside the bundle was a child. Tiny. Fragile. But glowing faintly with patterns across its skin. Patterns that shimmered in both silver and human-like warmth. Its eyes opened, brighter than any flame, and it let out a sound not like a cry, but like a soft hum that vibrated in the air. The humans stepped back in shock. Some muttered that it was a trick. Others whispered of witchcraft. The soldier's knees weakened. He could not understand. How? How could this be possible? A single kiss, only one night, and now this? The alien girl looked at him with calm certainty. "This is yours," she said. "Yours and mine." A heavy silence fell. The human commander stepped forward, his hand gripping his weapon. "Explain yourself," he demanded. "What is this deception?" But before she could answer, the Kailari guards struck their spears into the ground. A shockwave of blue light rippled outward, silencing all voices. One of the elder Kailari, his face marked with ancient tattoos, spoke instead. "The prophecy has begun." Every Kailari bowed again. Humans stood frozen, their hands trembling on their weapons. The soldier's mind swirled. Prophecy? Bound? Child? None of it made sense. He wanted to step forward, to deny it, to tell them all this was impossible. Yet when the child's glowing eyes turned to him, he felt something pierce his chest, not fear, but a bond. A strange warmth, as though the child already knew him. The girl's voice broke the silence again, soft but firm. "Do not fear. He will bring unity. He is the bridge between worlds." The soldier felt the stares of everyone, alien and human alike, burn into him. The whispers had turned into open suspicion, into awe, into fear. And in that moment, he realized nothing could ever return to how it was. The kiss had not been an accident. It had been a spark. And now, that spark had become a fire neither world could contain. Suspense ending for Part 3. The alien girl had returned, not empty-handed, but with a child claimed to be his. The prophecy had been spoken aloud. Both armies watched in silence. And the soldier understood, his life was no longer his own. The camp did not breathe. Soldiers, both human and Kailari, stood in silence as the alien girl cradled the glowing child in her arms. The baby's faint hum filled the ruined square, a sound that was neither human nor alien, but something in between. The soldier's heart pounded as he stared. He had seen many things in war, fire raining from the skies, alien warships blotting out suns, but nothing compared to this. A child, born of two enemies, carried into the open like a living secret. "This cannot be real," one human officer muttered under his breath. "Witchcraft," another spat. Yet none of them could look away. The Kailari elders, cloaked in silver robes, knelt on the broken stones. Their voices rose in unison, chanting words the humans could not understand. The ground itself seemed to tremble, as though the child's very presence awakened something buried deep within the world. The soldier wanted to deny it. He wanted to shout that this was madness. But when the baby's eyes, bright, glowing, and impossibly calm, met his, he felt something stir inside him. It was not fear. It was not guilt. It was recognition. The girl stepped closer, placing the child gently in his arms. His body tensed. He expected weight, warmth, something fragile. Instead, as the child rested against his chest, a wave of energy pulsed through him, like a heartbeat echoing with power. His scars burned, old wounds tingled, and for a moment, the pain of years of war disappeared. "Do you feel it?" the girl whispered. Her eyes shone with certainty. "He is not only ours. He is both worlds." But the humans around them did not see hope. They saw danger. "Look at its skin," a soldier whispered. The baby's markings glowed faint silver, but streaks of human-like warmth pulsed alongside them. "It's not natural." "It's a weapon," another growled. "The Kailari made it to trick us." Fear spread like wildfire through the human ranks. Fingers twitched near triggers, swords half-drawn. The Kailari, too, shifted uneasily. Some bowed in reverence, but others whispered warnings. Their voices carried words of old prophecy: a bridge child shall rise. If embraced, peace. If rejected, ruin. The soldier looked down at the child, his mind torn. Could a single kiss, one moment of weakness, truly have led to this? It made no sense. And yet the child was here, breathing, glowing, staring at him with eyes too ancient for something so small. The girl stood tall beside him, no longer the frightened prisoner he had once saved. She looked regal, certain, as though this had always been her destiny. "Do not fear him," she said. "He is not curse. He is promise." But fear has a louder voice than hope. The human commander stepped forward, his jaw tight. "We cannot allow this. That thing is dangerous. It will divide us." "No," the elder Kailari replied sharply. His voice carried authority that silenced even hardened soldiers. "He is the only chance your people and mine have to survive. Kill him, and both our worlds burn." The standoff grew tense. Human weapons pointed at Kailari spears, and Kailari eyes glowed brighter, ready to strike. The soldier clutched the child tighter, his mind spinning. He had never asked for this. He had never wanted prophecy, never wanted power. And yet here he stood, holding the one thing that might unite or destroy everything. The child stirred, humming again. This time the hum grew louder, vibrating through the ruins. The ground cracked slightly beneath their feet. The air shimmered with faint light, as though the baby's mere existence bent reality itself. Gasps erupted. Even the human commander faltered, stepping back. The soldier's throat went dry. He looked at the girl, then at the child in his arms. A thought whispered inside him, not in his own voice but in something older, deeper. "Protect me, and I will protect all." His hands trembled. Was it the child's voice? His imagination? Or something beyond comprehension? Before he could decide, the night erupted with more whispers. This time, they were not from shadows, but from both armies. "He is the child of two worlds. He will bring ruin. He will bring peace." The soldier felt the weight of every eye upon him. Friend, foe, ally, stranger. His next choice would not be his alone. And in that terrible silence, with the child glowing in his arms, he understood, his life was no longer about survival. It was about destiny. The soldier had held the child for only a day before the summons came. The Kailari Council demanded his presence inside the Grand Hall of Echoes, an ancient chamber carved from black stone, where voices of the past seemed to linger in every corner. Humans called it a temple. The Kailari called it a place of judgment. And now, it would become a court. The soldier stood in the center, surrounded by a circle of both humans and Kailari elders. Their eyes burned with suspicion, fear, and hunger for answers. The alien girl stood beside him, holding her child close, her silver skin shimmering in the torchlight. She looked calm. He did not. A Kailari elder with jagged tattoos raised his staff, the hall falling silent. His voice echoed, deep and resonant. "Human soldier, you have broken the law of two worlds. You touched what was forbidden. You shared blood where none should mix. And now you hold in your arms a creature of prophecy, perhaps salvation, perhaps ruin. For this, you must face the trial of blood." The soldier's fists clenched. "Trial?" he asked. His voice cracked slightly, though he tried to sound steady. The elder's glowing eyes narrowed. "Yes. If your blood rejects the child, it will die. If your blood accepts him, then destiny claims you both." Gasps swept the hall. The human commander spat in anger. "This is madness. Superstition," he barked. "We will not allow one of ours to be bound by alien myths." But the alien council ignored him. Their gaze never left the soldier. The girl stepped forward, her voice soft but sharp as glass. "Do not fear. He will endure. He is not only yours, not only mine. He is ours. His blood is bridge. The soldier's heart thundered. He looked at the child in her arms, its faint glow casting silver and warm light across his face. He could still hear that strange whisper from before, "Protect me, and I will protect all." But what if he failed? What if the trial killed the child? 2 Kailari guards approached, carrying a blade forged from crystal, its edge shimmering like ice. They placed it on the stone altar before him. The elder spoke again. "One cut. Your blood upon the child. If he is false, his body will wither. If true, his power will awaken." The human soldiers shouted in protest, some reaching for weapons, but the commander's raised hand stopped them. His eyes burned into the soldiers. "Do this, and you bind us all to alien superstition. Refuse, and they may slaughter us where we stand." The soldier's throat tightened. He looked at the girl, then at the child. Her eyes begged him silently, "Trust." Slowly, he picked up the blade. Its surface hummed faintly, like it breathed. With a deep breath, he drew it across his palm. Pain flared, hot and sharp. Blood welled crimson, dripping onto the stone. The elder gestured. "Now, place your blood upon the child." The soldier hesitated. His hand shook. Every eye in the hall locked onto him. If this child died, war would ignite again. If it lived, something greater would begin. He extended his hand. A single drop of blood fell onto the child's forehead. At first, nothing happened. The hall grew silent, breathless. Then the child's markings flared, silver and red, Kailari and human, blending together in radiant light. A shockwave rippled through the chamber. Torches flared, shadows danced across the walls, and voices not of this world whispered in the dark corners of the hall. The baby's eyes opened, glowing brighter than before. Its tiny hand reached upward, touching the soldier's wounded palm. And in that instant, the wound closed. Flesh knitted, pain vanished. Gasps erupted, fear and awe colliding into chaos. It accepted him, one elder whispered, trembling. "The prophecy is real," another said. "No," the human commander snarled, his face pale. "This cannot be." But the child's hum grew louder, vibrating through every stone, every heart. Even those who doubted felt their breath catch. The baby had chosen. The soldier staggered back, his mind spinning. The child's voice whispered again, but this time clearer, not just inside him but echoing faintly through the hall. "Father!" The word was small, fragile, but it silenced the hall like thunder. The alien girl's eyes filled with tears. She pressed her forehead to his shoulder. "He has chosen you," she whispered. "You cannot escape it now." The human commander's hand trembled near his sword. His voice was venom. "This is not destiny. This is contamination. And I will not allow it to spread." Tension erupted again. Humans reached for weapons, Kailari guards raised spears. The hall trembled, balanced on the edge of bloodshed. And the soldier stood frozen, the child glowing in his arms, knowing he had passed the trial, but also knowing the war had just changed forever. The grand hall of echoes shook as if the stones themselves remembered the child's name. After the trial of blood, no one moved. Humans and Kailari alike stood frozen, their weapons half raised, their breaths shallow. The soldier felt the baby's warmth against his chest, the glow spreading through his armor as though the child's heartbeat had become his own. Then the silence broke. The human commander drew his sword. Its steel gleamed under the torchlight. "This abomination will not live," he snarled. "If the council won't end it, then I will." The Kailari elders hissed, raising their staffs, their tattoos flaring blue. Sparks of energy shimmered in the air, tension sharp enough to cut. The alien girl clutched the soldier's arm, her eyes burning with fear and fury. And then, the baby began to cry. It wasn't a normal cry. It was a sound that tore through stone and flesh alike, a piercing vibration that shook the air. The torches flickered wildly, the pillars cracked, and shards of crystal fell from the ceiling. Soldiers on both sides staggered back, clutching their ears. The soldier tried to shield the child, whispering desperately, it's okay," but the baby's cry only grew louder, stronger, until it became something else, something deeper. The cry turned into a hum. The same hum he had heard before, but now magnified 1,000 times. The walls of the hall lit up, glowing with ancient runes that had slept for centuries. Symbols long forgotten by Kailari scholars burned bright, painting the chamber in light. The commander froze mid-step, his sword trembling in his hand. The Kailari elders dropped to their knees, voices trembling in awe. "The bridge, the child of 2 sons," one whispered. The soldier's arms trembled as the baby's glow spread across him. His scars lit like fire, then vanished, healed in seconds. His chest ached, not with pain, but with power rushing into his veins. He gasped as visions flashed before his eyes, 2 worlds, human and Kailari, burning in war, then bound together in light, holding the child at their center. When the vision faded, the baby reached out its tiny hand. With a faint gesture, the air itself obeyed. The commander's sword flew from his grip, slamming into the far wall. Spears fell from Kailari hands. Torches dimmed, then flared back to life. The baby's hum fell silent. And the hall did not dare to move. The girl's voice broke the silence, steady and clear. "He is not a weapon. He is not curse. He is balance." But balance frightened them more than war. The commander's face twisted in rage and fear. "Balance? No. This creature will enslave us all. Look at what it does with a single sound. Do you think it will choose peace? It will choose power. And we will burn." The Kailari elders murmured, torn between fear and worship. Some bowed lower, whispering prayers. Others glared, hands hovering near weapons. The soldier tightened his grip around the child. He could still feel its strange heartbeat pulsing with his. He did not understand what the baby was, but he knew one thing: if they tried to kill it, if they tried to harm the girl, he would not stand aside. The baby stirred again, and this time its eyes locked on the commander. A soft hum vibrated, and suddenly the commander dropped to his knees, gasping for air. Invisible force pressed him to the ground. The other soldiers panicked, raising rifles, but their triggers jammed, their barrels glowed red-hot before they could fire. The power was not killing, only restraining. The baby's voice echoed faintly in the hall, heard by all, though its lips never moved. "No more blood." Every heart froze. The soldier's skin crawled. The voice was not only in his mind, it was in everyone's. Human and Kailari alike had heard it. The child had spoken, not with words of war, but with command. The commander collapsed, pale and shaking. The rifles clattered to the floor. Even the most hardened warriors stared wide-eyed, unsure if they had just seen salvation or the beginning of their end. The alien girl stepped forward, her cloak glowing silver in the newborn light. She held her child high, her voice trembling but strong. "You see it now. He is not born of shame, not born of weakness. He is born of choice. A union neither of your councils wanted. And yet, he lives." The soldier looked around the chamber. Humans whispered in terror. Kailari chanted in awe. And in that moment, he realized there was no going back. The prophecy had awakened. And the child's power had only just begun. The grand hall of echoes still trembled with the child's last words, "No more blood." Both armies, human and Kailari, had heard it. Both had felt the invisible force that silenced weapons and bent wills. But silence was fragile. Fear pressed heavy on every heart. One wrong step, one wrong word, and the hall would drown in blood despite the child's warning. The soldier stood in the center, the baby glowing faintly in his arms. His body felt heavy, not from the child's weight, but from the burden it carried. Around him, humans and Kailari stared with the same question in their eyes. What happens now? The commander staggered to his feet, his face pale, his pride shattered. He pointed a trembling finger at the child. "This thing will enslave us. Today it silences our weapons. Tomorrow it silences our minds. You call it savior, I call it tyrant." The human soldiers muttered uneasily. Some nodded at his words, fear rising again. But before the soldier could speak, a Kailari elder stood, his voice deep as thunder. "You fear chains because you have lived in war too long. But I see no chains. I see freedom." The Kailari guards struck their spears against the stone, a rhythmic echo that filled the chamber. One by one, they bent their heads, Not to the council, not to the elders, but to the child. The alien girl stepped forward, silver cloak flowing, her eyes glowing bright with conviction. You see it too. The child is not curse. He is bridge. The choice is yours, accept him or destroy him. But know this, destroy him and both worlds fall. The soldier's chest tightened. He looked down at the child. Its eyes glowed softly, not with the force it had shown before, but with calm, like it understood everything yet carried no malice. The tiny hand curled around his finger, and he felt strength, not fear. For the first time, he found his voice. You call him weapon. You call him curse. But I call him son. The words echoed louder than any chant. Gasps rippled through the hall. Humans looked at one another, shaken. Some lowered their rifles, uncertain. Kailari murmured among themselves, their glowing eyes bright with awe. The commander's rage exploded. You dare call yourself father to this thing? He drew another blade, rushing forward. But before steel could strike, the child lifted its hand. No hum, no cry, only silence. The commander froze mid-strike, his body locked in place as if held by invisible threads. The blade dropped to the ground. The commander's eyes widened with terror as the child's glowing gaze pierced him. Then the baby whispered a single word, heard by all. Peace. The commander collapsed, not dead, but trembling, broken. The soldier held the child higher. He is not here to rule us. He is here to stop us. To end the war we cannot end ourselves. The Kailari elders bowed. Some humans, uncertain, lowered their heads as well. But not all. Whispers of rebellion already stirred in the shadows. Some soldiers stepped back, their eyes filled with silent defiance. Peace had been forced upon them, but forced peace is not always accepted peace. The soldier knew this was not the end. The prophecy had only awakened. The child's power was growing. And while today both sides had been silenced, tomorrow new choices would come, choices of loyalty, choices of fear, choices of faith. The alien girl stood beside him, her hand on his shoulder. The future begins now, she whispered. He looked at her, then at the child, then at the hall where enemies stood shoulder to shoulder, unsure if they were still enemies at all. For the first time since the war began, he felt something new. Not victory. Not defeat. But possibility. The child stirred, its glow dimming softly as it drifted into sleep. The hall's light faded with it, leaving only shadows and silence. But in that silence, every soldier, every elder, every warrior knew the truth. The world they had known was gone. A new future had begun, and it carried the name of the child. The soldier tightened his hold, whispering under his breath, not for others but for himself. This is not the end. This is only the beginning.